to turn back to the other news of the day, which is Apple after Steve Jobs. We're joined by Jeff Sonnenfeld, the Senior Associate Dean for Yale University's School of Management. Jeff, great to have you back again on this program.
Good to see you again.
But, before we get to talking about Steve Jobs himself and the legacy he leaves behind, and perhaps what management experts are going to say about him, for the future and what he taught. Let me ask you about the board at Apple. I mean, what are they going to have to do here on out, without Steve Jobs, in order to reassure shareholders the company's on track?
Well, they have people with technological depth, of course, from Genentech. They've got a CEO of Avon there with Andrew Young, who understands consumer marketing, Mickey Drexler, who is an extremely creative person, sort of a Steve Jobs in a more modest way, of course, of retail world. But the board is a small board, and it's a board that's had an understandable infatuation with a heroic CEO. It's a very hard vacuum to fill.
Right.
It's a board defined by him in a lot of ways, and they're very open in acknowledging that. This board now has to try to find somebody to come in to stir the pot a little bit. It was not successful yet for Microsoft. They tried Ray Ozzie to succeed that kind of rest of soul of technology, if you will, to follow Bill Gates. Steve Ballmer's a fantastic manager, but still somebody who pushes the edge.
So
here's a team.
So not Tim Cook?
Well, Tim Cook would just need to be counterbalanced. It's too much to find in one person alone. The marriage of art and management, of liberal arts and science and engineering that it was embodied in Steve Jobs is an unusual, very rare mix. I think Tim Cook is fantastic for what he does. He needs a complement. When Walt Disney left, the place atrophied. But they brought in a great duo. It was Frank Wells on one side and Michael Eisner. Those were the best days of Disney since Walt, and in fact, maybe the best days of Disney ever. After we lost Frank Wells, who died in an untimely helicopter crash, Michael Eisner's portion of it wasn't strong enough to really guide that enterprise by itself. Sometimes the complementarity can work. We can see it's probably going to work at HP right now with their arrangement. It's worked at Coke in their distant past. Right.
Well, so Jeff, what structure are you suggesting then for Apple? Are you talking about some sort of co-CEO role, or are you what are you suggesting exactly at the very top?
Some chief technology officer. You see this in the fashion world. Say Ralph Lauren. With sort of Roger Farah and Ralph at Polo, you see it, and a lot of times it's worked well where you can have a creative type matched with the business type. But you have some great computer science with Scott Forstall, who's been through all the different life stages, incredibly, with Steve Jobs, from Apple to Next and back to Apple,
right,
who is a computer science wizard. You have Jonathan Ives, of course, who's a great developer of the iPad and things still there, and Phil Schiller, the marketing genius. But they know their respective roles relative to Steve. It's hard to see who's going to be the person, though, that turns it. And even if they still make a go of it, they could probably make it go 4 or 5 years.
Okay, Jeff, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Jeff Sonnenfeld of Yale. Now.